Good evening and welcome to our last ever pair of Vox sessions with the season 1. And I'm delighted this evening to welcome one of the nicest and kindest young people that we've ever had go through the band, who is now an extremely successful alumnus. In fact, she's actually an alumnus of Derby High School and I believe Cambridge University. And I'm hoping that she's going to be able to tell us a little bit more about that as we go on through the talk. Just a bit of housekeeping, quick reminder, if you wouldn't mind just keeping your mics on mute so that we don't get too many interruptions, that would be wonderful. But if you've got any questions whatsoever, so these could be questions about how to get into Cambridge, how did you choose to do your job, what do you do to go and get internships, anything you can think of, if you send them through in the chat box, Stu, my glamorous assistant in Derby, will be managing those and he'll feed them in at the right time. So tonight's first guest is a wonderful young person called Miss Joey Skinner. And we hooked up again not so long ago down at the National Gallery when we took part in a Marketing Derby event. And we got the opportunity to invite lots of alumni. And she was just as amazing then as she was when she was a young musician. So good evening, Joey. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, John. And thank you so much for having me.
Oh, this is so cool. And I believe that you're dialing in from London?
Yep, West London.
Wow. Oh, fancy end of London, that one, the West London. I used to live in Chiswick. Whereabouts are you based?
Oh, I live in Chiswick.
Small world. That's very cool. So I'm calling in from France. You're calling in from West London, the posh end. And Stu's monitoring it back end of Derby. Very nice. We like this. So it's great to have you here, Joey. If you wouldn't mind, could you tell the people who are listening what you do now? What's your kind of role and job? Because I think you've just started a new internship with the Blue Raincoat Music.
Yeah. I'm just about to start an internship with Blue Raincoat Music, which is 6 months, which should be really exciting. Before that, I was doing some work with BBC, so Radio 1, 1 Extra, Radio 6. And before that, I was working for Sirius.
Wow. And what is it all the same job that you do at each of these, or are you doing different things?
No, different things. Lots and lots of different things. I feel like I'm still trying to explore which part of kind of the music industry I'm most interested in. I get
that. So, when you started off with Sirius, because was that the first big one out of university? Was Sirius the one?
I actually did a year working for Cambridge University first on a management grad scheme.
Yeah. And
then from there, I realised that wasn't for me. And I really miss music. And I knew someone that worked for Sirius the year before I did. And they employ more people during the jazz festival. Yeah. So I just applied to work during the jazz festival and got some experience there, which was really cool.
That's amazing. So what will you be doing for your internship with Blue Raincoat? What will that encompass?
All sorts. It's kind of like a rotational internship. So I'll be doing a bit in ops. I'll be doing a bit to do with like sync, and then also working with artists, so managing artists as well. So I'll get really good exposure to kind of different areas of the company, which is really cool.
That is cool. What does sync mean for those of us who are not quite au fait with these terms? What does that mean?
Yeah, so sync is when you kind of bring music together with maybe film or television or like adverts, and you pick music specifically for the advert or for the television. It's actually a really kind of cool kind of area of the music industry.
I like that. So is it a little bit like, are you working with library music companies? Does that come into your remit?
It can be a mix. It can be a mix. So it can be new artists. It can be library music. It can be a bit of all sorts, really.
Wow. And for those people that are listening, if you've not heard me talk about library music companies before, these are basically like, written book libraries, but it's just for music, stock items of music. And basically people like McDonald's and things might decide to go there to buy their piece of music for the backing of their adverts. It actually works out to be a really lucrative career if you can get those big high things, because it's all about the numbers of the streams, the numbers of the plays of the advert. So Joey, would you mind giving us a bit of your potted history on, how did it all start for you? When did you start doing music? I know you were super clever and we know that. So, if you probably take us from, high school to present day, can you give us that?
Yep, sure. I think before high school, I obviously have to mention Hot House. So I think I joined Hot House when I was about 10 or 11. I think I was that young.
You were the first ones ever on our Saturday morning school, weren't you?
Yep, there were about 5 or 6 of us in Hot Shots, I think.
Oh, that's a memory. Oh my goodness, I'm going to make a note of that one for later. Yeah, carry on.
So yeah, I joined Hot House when I was about 10 or 11. Before that, I was already playing the piano and recently started the saxophone. So I wasn't really very good when I kind of joined Hot House. And then carried on with Hot House all through school. Music was always quite an important part of my life while I was at school. It was always kind of what I was most interested in. And I stayed with you guys till I left school. So I think you had me for 8 years, maybe. And then when I left school, I knew I wanted to do music, but I wasn't quite sure whether it was conservatoire or university. And in the end, I decided university, and I actually went to Cambridge to study music. So I was there for 3 years and then graduated in 2018. So 2 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's gone so fast. That's really fast. Um, do I remember correctly that at the same time you were also a member of the junior RNCM, the Junior Royal Northern College of Music? Did you do that? I mean, 'cause you did that at the same time that you were with Hot House and doing your regular schooling things. Was that just a Saturday morning commitment? How did that work?
It was a Saturday morning, it was a Saturday day commitment. So it was in Manchester. So I remember I'd have to leave at sort of 6:30 to get there for 9:30, which is when my first lesson or whatever it was I was doing, conducting or musicianship or whatever it was, at 9:30. And then I was there till 4:30. So it was a full Saturday commitment, but then you also had to practice quite a lot in the week.
Yeah.
You couldn't really turn up to those lessons having not really done that much. I did that a few times and it didn't come across well. So yeah, you had to put in quite a lot of practice in the week for that.
Good life lesson.
Yeah.
It doesn't go well if you don't put the time in.
It doesn't. It's embarrassing.
It really is. The older you get, the more you look back and think, oh my good night, I can't believe it. I even tried to pull that one. But you did get offered a place at the RNCM for your graduate degree, didn't you? As far as I'm aware. But you definitely weighed up the two and decided for Oxford, Cambridge.
Well, I actually wanted to do the joint course at Manchester. So the Manchester Uni or RNCM, I'm not quite sure which one, they offer a joint course between the RNCM and Manchester University. So you get what I thought was the best of both worlds. You get to do the kind of conservatoire route, but also the university route. Yeah. The problem was I didn't actually get on that course. So I got the place at the RNCM and I got the place at Manchester, but I didn't get the joint course. Oh. And so then I didn't really know what to do. And at that point, I'd applied for Cambridge just to kind of see what would happen. I knew I'd got the grades, but I hadn't really got any interest in going. And then, then the decision really came down to, well, I really don't know what to do now. Go to Manchester, go to Cambridge. And my heart was really set on Manchester.
But so you you went to Manchester?
No, I went to Cambridge. I went to Cambridge to try it for a year, is actually what I did. I went to try it for a year with the view that if I really didn't like it as much as I thought I wouldn't like it, I'd go to Manchester the next year. Yeah.
And, to be fair, there's a lot of kids that we've got who are going to be watching this at some point and they'll be thinking, I really want to do music. And actually, my mum and dad, perhaps, they would rather I did something a little bit more traditional, a traditional degree, maybe at a regular university. I'm assuming the Cambridge thing worked out quite well for you. Did you enjoy your time at Cambridge? Was it a good course? Because they vary differently, quite a lot from the RNCM course, wouldn't they?
Oh, yeah. I loved it. I absolutely loved it at Cambridge. I would recommend anybody, if you have the opportunity to go, just go. It's not what I thought it was. It was so much fun. The course was hard. The course was really hard. But it was so much fun. And there are so many opportunities to play music. And I got to play all the balls. So I don't know how much you know about Oxbridge, but they have these really famous May balls, or Cambridge has these really famous May balls, and they're kind of 200 plus for a ticket. And if you're in any of the big bands, you get to go and play at these balls and effectively stay for free, which was so cool. It was really, really good fun. Really good fun.
So it sounds like you had a good time at Cambridge. Now, my eldest daughter, Sarah Jane, she went to Cambridge to do law. And I seem to remember that she worked very hard for 8 weeks, which was the term. And then she accidentally parted for the rest of the time in between. So I think she had a fairly healthy work-life balance all the way through. The course at Cambridge, was it very academic, or was there a significant part of performance and composition in there?
The course is kind of what you make it. In first year, you don't really have much choice. And I found first year really hard coming from I was a sax clarinet player. and you had to learn the kind of whole history of music from kind of dot.
Yes.
And I had no clue. I didn't know anything about choral music. I really I didn't know anything about anything, is what I felt like. And you had to learn a lot about harmony, really classical, traditional harmony. And I found that all so hard. But once first year is out the way, and first year doesn't count, you can kind of mold it to whatever you want. So you can specialize in composition, you can do performance. I did dissertation for 3 years because there was different areas I wanted to explore. So then I branched out and did music psychology. I did feminist musicology. So I researched Nicki Minaj and Robin Thicke.
Yeah.
And then I also looked at a swing musician called Ivy Benson and researched her in my final year.
Oh, it sounds really good, actually. You know, it sounds if you've got genuinely that kind of scope to pursue the bits that you were interested in, that's got to be a good thing for a course. Did you do any of the varsity things when you were down there? I mean, I'm just asking because obviously it's famous for rowing, but there was also varsity, you know, music competitions, the jazz orchestra, the Oxford University Jazz Orchestra, the Cujo, Cambridge University Jazz Orchestra. They used to have a varsity thing. Did you get involved with that part of the university life?
I did a lot of rowing, but I never represented the university. I only represented my college. But rowing was so much fun. That's one of the kind of main reasons I really loved Cambridge, was because I got to, you know, try out rowing, and I really fell in love with it. I did some stuff with CUO, which is Cambridge University Wind Orchestra, and I remember we did something with Bristol University Wind Orchestra. But that's about it. But there's so many opportunities to go and watch people who are in the varsities. And you can also go on varsity ski trips where you get to go and fly out to wherever they're holding the varsity and watch them, but also kind of ski and party with Oxford.
Very cool.
Which is quite cool. Yeah.
Eleanor has put a question into the chat, and Stu's just given me a little flag. Basically, I think Eleanor went to Cambridge herself, and she said, which college would you say is now the best for music? Now, that's a difficult one because there might be people who are watching this down the line, but what college would you say? Which one did you go to, first of all?
I went to Murray Edwards, but I did what's called an open application. So I didn't really know anything about Oxford colleges. I'd never been to either. I really hadn't got a clue. I didn't even know what an open application was, but it basically means you don't specify a college. You just kind of chuck your application in there, and I thought it went wherever. Turns out that doesn't happen. It goes to the college with the fewest applicants. So I ended up going to an all-girls college, which was called Murray Edwards, but I absolutely loved it. In terms of which one's best for music, it depends what kind of music you're into. So the college that I was at, I think, is one of the only ones which doesn't have its own church, which for me was fine because I wasn't interested in being a choral scholar or singing in the choir. None of that really interested me, and I was kind of quite grateful that I didn't have that.
Yeah, very nice.
I'm not sure which one's really the best.
So it's difficult. Yeah. Open audition, that might be the way, Eleanor. So you can just chance it when Daniel wants to go. So tell us a little bit about how you found Sirius. You know, how did that happen? You mentioned that you had a friend who'd done it before and they thought it was a good idea.
Yeah, so the person that did it before was actually what's called my college mum. So when you go to Cambridge, I'm not sure if it's the same at Oxford, but you have what's called a college family. So you have a college mum, a college dad. I was the college kid. And it was my college mum that did this job the year before me and basically recommended it to me because she thought it'd be fun. And by doing that, I already had the contact of her. I could use her name to try and, you know, get the job.
And it worked out quite well. You enjoyed your time at Sirius?
Yeah. Really enjoyed it. It was great to be involved with the jazz festival. You got to go and see all the gigs for free that you could go to. And I was also running the guest desks on some nights, which was fun because you'd have artists come up to get their VIP tickets, or BBC producers come up to you, or people from the media, which is really fun.
It's cool. I think Stu might put the link for Sirius into the chat box so you guys can have a quick look at it. It's an enormous organisation down in London. I think they might even be across the country now. They do lots of different things. But what they've managed to achieve with the artist relations is just out of this world. So give them a quick look, because that's really interesting. Now, when we were chatting earlier, Joey, you know, we've often talked about sometimes you just don't know where you want to go or where you want to be, or, you know, you just want to do something. And so you try lots of different things, don't you? And I think, you know, what would be really interesting for some of the people who are listening is, knowing that it's okay to try serious and then, you know, finish that and then go and do some work with the BBC and then, you know, finish that and then about to start something on Raincoat. You don't have to look for the job for life straight away, do you? I mean, you've got quite a diverse portfolio now.
Yeah, but I think coming out of university, I definitely had the mindset it's kind of one job for life, and which is why I took that job at Cambridge University. I was very swayed by the pay package, and I don't know, I thought it would lead to good career prospects, and I was so wrong, so wrong. And I mean, it took a lot of courage to leave that job.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad I left it. And since then, I've sort of learned that I've got my whole life for my career. If I haven't quite figured it out yet, then that's okay. I'm quite happy to kind of try different things for now till I figure out, you know, what it is that I really want to do. Or if I enjoy doing lots of different things, then I'll stay freelance and just find my way doing that.
I think that's amazing, really, because a lot of parents will want their children to have job security. You know, there's this illusion that, you know, you get one job, maybe Rolls-Royce or Bombardier, or you're a doctor and that's it, that's all you do. But life's changing and evolving now, and it's really good for, you know, for people to have, you know, this opportunity in front of them. Stu would like to know whether you still get to play your saxophone and clarinet down in London. Are there orchestras that you go to at the moment?
Not in London at the minute, only because I've only been here since, July? Since last November. I was living in Hertfordshire before that, and I did play with Hertfordshire Big Band when I was there. And I'm hoping to join some stuff in London. I actually really want a saxophonics here or something that I can join. So set something up in London.
Yeah.
But no, I still teach quite a lot, so that gets me playing and just play for fun. I'm learning the flute at the minute.
Oh, that's amazing. And, you know, I think I've got lots of really good memories that I'm going to share with people in a short while. But, you know, on your journey through, have there been any moments where you've just gone, it's been one of those moments where you've then thought, how am I going to get through this? And then you look back on it and think, that was a really good life lesson. I'm glad that happened. Was it just the university thing, or was there anything else?
I think definitely when I was working at Cambridge Uni and I just really wasn't enjoying it, and I was thinking, this kind of can't be my career forever. If this is how it really is, how do people work for kind of their whole life if it's this unenjoyable? And I kind of thought, I don't know how I'm going to get through this. And then how am I going to, at that point I was thinking I want to move into music, but how am I going to do that? Because I'm building up my experience in kind of university admin at the minute. So how on earth am I going to make that transition? And I didn't have any experience. And I think what I had to do was just do lots of voluntary stuff. So my first avenue was to try and get into the BBC. So I did a lot of voluntary radio stuff, working with community stations. I worked with Cam FM, which is a Cambridge station, whilst I was working in Cambridge, and just built up experience that way. So then I could kind of show people that I was interested in the area, but I'd only been able to do voluntary stuff. And that kind of worked quite well, and has been quite a good learning curve in terms of going for jobs, because people like to see that you've done stuff off your own back. Yeah.
So it's, you know, really recognizing that you're in charge of your own destiny. You can make your own choice. And actually then it's to get where you want to go to. Sometimes you have to go and do stuff for free. Sometimes you just have to go and meet people and offer your time, because, you know, we did this big thing last week where, you know, if you give something, somebody tends to give something back. So I think that's probably a really nice life lesson. So, and I would normally say, where do you see yourselves in 5 years? I mean, obviously, who knows? But have you got an idea of what you would like to be doing in 5 years?
Who knows? I'm not sure. I would like to have a more senior position somewhere. I'd quite like to have figured out where my main interests lie, and then have a more senior position somewhere.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's all I can tell you right now.
I don't know. I like that. I really like that, because, you know, I want our kids to know that you don't have it figured out. You know, you don't come out of university and you know what you want to do. It's really rare. And, kids get a lot of pressure on them, put on them now about, oh, you must know what you want to do and make sure you make good choices. But actually, it's okay not to. So I think that's incredible. Right, well, over to my favourite bit, which is the happy fun time memories of when we had you at band. So obviously, just remembered that you were there at the first ever Hot Shots rehearsal on Saturday mornings. But my actual favourite one was when your mum was in charge of sorting out the new hospital, and we got to do the Big Bang Ball, which was in the big suite at the top. And that was one of the first ones where everybody in the band, they wore tuxedos, nice dresses. The band played like a commercial set. And that was when we started realizing that the big band could go out and actually entertain rather than just be a kids band, something which mums and dads would go up to. No, it was way more than that. And basically, from that point onwards, we realized that, you guys, you kids can do much more than what we gave you credit for. So that was one of mine. Have you got any, nice nuggets there that you would care to share?
One of my favorite memories is, I think I was in Hot Shots at the time, maybe. I was very, very young. And I remember you brought the whole band together to play, not the whole band, everybody that was in Hot House, or Emmy Joe as it was then, I can't quite remember. You brought everyone together. So you had all the kind of big kids playing. And we played the Rocky theme. And what else did we play? Eye of the Tiger, I think. And I always remember playing that because I was surrounded by these phenomenal, what I thought were phenomenal players. And Ed Richardson was on the drums. And I just remember feeling it kind of through my chest. And I mean, I was a terrible player at the time, but I remember thinking, wow, this is amazing. This feels so amazing. I love it. I love it. And I'm part of this sound.
Yeah.
And I just remember that being, amazing.
One of those moments. And, we still play all of those pieces. We can't, you can't polish, you can't perfect perfection really. So we're trying really hard to keep the torch flying. Now, before we finish off, have you got any bits of or tips or advice for the kids who might be thinking about going to Cambridge? What sort of things, or if they were going to follow your sort of career pathway, what bits of advice would you give them?
I think I would say, not necessarily about Cambridge. I think wherever you go, you're going to have a great experience and you'll make the most of it wherever you go. But I think if it's someone that is wanting to pursue music, they know they want to be in music, but maybe they're not sure where they want to be in that sort of industry. I would say to them, kind of just explore, make the most of the Hot House network, make the most of social media, just connect with people and find out what's out there. So it might be music journalism, it might be going into sync, it might be working for a festival. You could work for Glastonbury. You could go into the marketing and comms of a festival, or go and work at the BBC. There's so many avenues that you can go down that I don't think people are aware of. So I'd advise people to just explore the industry and just pick a few things that you like the sound of and then go and meet people. Because they won't say no. They might not reply, but you're not going to get a no from somebody.
Yeah, I think that's amazing advice. And my little bit to add on to that for anybody who is listening is, I try and do it face to face, pick up a phone or go and see people at an actual event, because it's really difficult for them to say no to you face to face. Whereas if it's an email, they're just going to press delete. So my advice, like Joey, go to these places, go to Sirius, go to all of the BBC things, go and volunteer, and then go and meet them and build your network. You're going to have a great time. Well, that's the end of this Vox session. And I guess the lovely Joey Skinner has been absolutely wonderful. I'm hoping she won't mind if kids send her an email or add her on LinkedIn or something like that. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely fine.
You star, thank you. We think you've been a wonderful guest, and we look forward to seeing everybody in the next Vox session with sensational young man called Mr. Stephen Grohl. Thank you very much, folks. We'll be in touch again soon. Bye now.
Thank you.